Ok, adesso last but not least, something different. Michael Burnett, Alpine Ventures, non soltanto perché era l'ultimo nome che accompagnava nel programma, ma deliberatamente volevo presentargli davanti tutti questi diversi punti di vista, i vari Fab Lab, le esperienze di vari istituti, i punti di vista del progettista, eccetera, per sentire invece il punto di vista di qualcuno che di mestiere fa qualcosa di diverso, fa il venture capitalist con una forte esperienza internazionale anche proprio in Silicon Valley. Come vede l'Italia attuale e le prospettive per l'Italia? Prego.
Ok, perfetto. Chi sono? Sono, come hai detto, Mike Burnett, posso parlare un po' italiano. Sono dal Silicon Valley dove ho lavorato per Apple, Cisco Systems, Yahoo, compagnia così. Poi ho visto molte cose dalla Silicon Valley, come funziona così. Adesso che faccio? Abito a Milano, faccio venture capital qui in Italia e sono molto appassionante della innovazione e specialmente qui in Italia perché penso che l'Italia ha molte cose positive e solo ci sono qualche cosa che se possiamo cambiare cambia molto. O ancora voglio dire che sono felice di stare qui in questo format di conversazione con questa idea, ma voglio dire che solo è un primo passo, dobbiamo fare più e veramente dobbiamo cambiare questa idea into action, che non è facile ma è il prossimo passo. Adesso comincio a parlare inglese, scusa, ma è più, è più facile per parlare di innovazione, per 3D printing e tutto questo in inglese per me, ma dopo se hai un interesse possiamo parlare in italiano di queste cose se non capisci. So before talking about 3D printing and fab labs, for me, I like to think about the framework of innovation. And for me, there are three components. One is that you need to have a base of technical education. So you need to create scale at the understanding. And again, for me, that is technical education. You need to create the capabilities. And it's not just because every one of these people is going to have a wonderful idea, but those people that actually do have wonderful ideas are going to need support. So number one, you need large scale and a labor pool that has technical capabilities. The second thing, or the second requirement for innovation for me, is a marketplace. And it's best if this marketplace is local. So what does that mean? That means you have to have early adopters of this technology. In effect, you need a marketplace that supports the acquisition of these ideas. The marketplace clearly should include consumers like you and me, but it needs to include enterprises. So it needs to include small businesses, large businesses, and it also needs to include the government and the public administration. And when you look at the Silicon Valley, for example, one of the benefits of entrepreneurs and startuppers in the Silicon Valley is that the local community is highly adoptive of new technologies. They're willing to try things. They're willing to partner with these companies. So you need the technical capabilities, but without the marketplace, and specifically a local marketplace, it's very difficult to innovate. The final component for me is access to financing or capital or money. Developing new innovation, developing new products, new services, it requires money. Nothing's free. So, and not only developing the idea, but more importantly, developing the growth. So there are a lot of people in Italy that support seed financing, and it gets a lot of ideas in effect off the ground. But where there's a real funding gap in Italy is post-seed. It's really to grow these businesses. And if the goal is to create global leaders within Italy, the number one ingredient is to stimulate growth of those ideas that are positive and successful. And just to give you an idea, and then I'll move more towards around innovation, how does 3D printing, fab labs, how does it play into that? But the venture capital, post-seed venture capital community in Italy, in terms of available capital, is less than €1 billion. That means all of the capital available for startups. And I would argue that it's probably around 500 million. In the US, just as an example, and I know it's a different country, it's a larger market, et cetera, but venture capital invests per annum $3 billion. So I'm comparing an annual investment to an overall size of the market. So if you look at 10 years of venture capital in the US, you're talking about a number greater than $30 billion. So again, the only reason I'm highlighting that is a lot of people think of the technical education, they think of the marketplace, but they don't think of the importance of capital, and that's equally important. So great, you have these three components of innovation. You've got the technical education, you've got the marketplace, you've got financing. What else is required? And this is really where the Fab Labs and 3D printing comes in. You need to remove friction. So I think as an entrepreneur, and I think as anyone, whether you're an entrepreneur at a university, building your department, whether you're within public administration, et cetera, really what you want to do to innovate is you want to iterate. And what that means is you want to try new things quickly, and if they don't work out, you want to pivot. You want to iterate. You want to modify what you're doing slightly and do it again. And if that doesn't work, you want to do it again. And you can call that you fail, and there's the concept fail fast, or you can simply call it iteration. And we iterate in our lives all the time. You're walking down the street and actually you find out that it's going to take longer, and so you turn right. So what the problem is that every country has these obstacles. It has friction that slows that iteration process down. And I'm talking about regulation. I'm talking about simple things about getting utilities, whether it's electricity, phone lines, etc. It's legal. It's how fast is your legal process? Is there standardization around the legal process? Labor laws. Is it easy to hire people? Is it easy, if it doesn't work out, to let those people go? What about your tax regulation? If you're not generating any profit, do you still need to pay taxes? Things like this. But again, this happens in every country. So, the only point that I'm making is that there's an umbrella over the innovation ecosystem, which includes this removing friction, removing obstacles, and now really to the highlight, which is 3D printing. And I'll focus more on 3D printing than the Fab Lab. 3D printing is a revolution. It is a revolution. And when I compare 3D printing, and I'm sure these analogies have been made, but it's, I was thinking this morning while coming here, it's comparative to drafting before there was CAD or computer-assisted design. It's transformational. And so I think, the only thing that I would say is when you read the press, when you see the news, often 3D printing is a bit like a game. You print, a new cover for your telefonino or something. And the point is, no, this is transformational. It's also supporting the other major trend that we're seeing over the last 10 years, which is bringing enterprise-capable solutions to the consumer, to me. And so what are these enterprise solutions? Let's give some examples of enterprise solutions that are now available to all of us. Maps, navigation. Before, you had proprietary software that was for Federal Express and the delivery trucks and the post office. Now, all of us have maps on our phone. We wouldn't be able to live without them. The other area, just simply as an example, would be publishing. Can you imagine not publishing, meaning drafting a document, hitting print, at your home or at your office? But 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that was impossible. So just to give some examples, well, that's what 3D printing is doing. 3D printing is supporting the trend of enterprise to consumer. So I just quickly thought of kind of 4 concrete, practical, in-market applications of 3D printing. One is it brings R&D closer to the source. And so again, when I say this is a reality, you look at companies like SpaceX, which is the first company in the United States that is not a government entity, that is sending rockets into space, that is making deliveries to the International Space Station. They are using 3D printing to print metal components, to test them directly there, and very quickly iterate as to whether the technology is working or whether it's not, whether they need to make changes. Tesla's doing the same thing. The CEO is the same person. You also see in healthcare, you actually have examples of surgeons that are printing medical devices that are being implanted in people's bodies. So the point is it's real. It also lowers the cost of R&D. It brings it closer, lowers the cost. The other is personalization and customization. I mean, we all have moved to the world where everybody wants something from a manufacturing point of view unique. They want it made for them, and obviously 3D printing facilitates that. It lowers the cost as well. The other area around cost savings where you see it in real life is in the automotive industry. Right now, there are automotive manufacturers who are printing nearly 5% of the components that are used in the automobiles. They're printing them. So they're not outsourcing the manufacturing, they're actually printing them in-house, which to me is quite strange. The fourth is overall, I call it customer service. But we need to, again, think big. And we will all have 3D printers in our home at some point. And it sounds so strange, but we will. And when your dishwasher, your lavatrice, or something breaks, you will simply go on the internet, you will find the component, you'll hit print, the little plastic component will come out, you'll clip it in, you will have called no one will have come to visit your house. So 3D printing is enabling these sort of things. So my first message around this is that it's happening now. This is not something that is a PowerPoint presentation about the future. Real companies are using this technology now, and we in Italy need to support this. So why, and I'll close with this, why do we need to support this? The reason we need to support it is because we need to help our entrepreneurs. We need to remove the friction that they face every day in trying to achieve their business, trying to grow their business. And the final point really is this. The goal is that we allow these entrepreneurs, the next generation of entrepreneurs, to become leaders in their field, global leaders. And I think part of this conference is really about what can we do to reinvigorate innovation to increase, let's say, the competitiveness of Italy. And this is part of that. Grazie mille.
Grazie.